Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
Hi, she's bouncing up and down.
Uh-huh.
We were just doing a quick clearing and banishing. There's a lot going on in this world right now. It's going on at a breakneck pace, and we're seeing things escalate hugely. We just watched video of this several times. This Florida condo complex, 12-story condo, kind of goes straight down. Certainly reminded me of what I saw back in 2001, with the World Trade Center. It A section of it goes straight down. Yeah, this is Florida, by the way. Florida.
Yeah, I mean, what are we supposed to make of that when we see something that looks so, in line with everything? It looks professional.
Yeah, and we've been talking about two states, Florida and Texas, two states kind of leading the charge against the status quo, against certain powers that be, certain rules, regulations, way of doing things. And, there's a reason, again, why, Cindy has felt that Florida has a big bullseye on it. Texas does too. The guides have let us know that it's the case. Um, so I think you guys understand what we're saying here. We've talked also about a lot of strange things going on. We've talked about covert warfare underway, and yet it doesn't mean that it's all external.
Mhm.
As we've gotten confirmation from the guides about some things going on that are harbingers of something that's more CIVIL, and that is underway as well. As we know, there's this great push right now to create a WW #3, right? And there's also a great push underway for conditions like 1861. And of course, I think most of you know what happened between 1861 and 1865. So this is in Miami area. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue came to the site of this horrible event. 12-story building, 136 apartment units. They said they were pretty full. They have confirmation of one person dead, but there's like 50 something people missing, and 35 people they pulled so far that were trapped in the building. This thing went straight down. This thing was like pancaked. Again, this doesn't feel like it should happen, and obviously Florida is not a place where you get earthquakes. You could get ground shifting, as it's really just a big old sandbar.
Well, I'm thinking there should have been some type of cracks, or there would have been some kind of something weeks in advance to say, hey, I'm a weak structure, instead of just boom.
Straight down.
Right.
Yeah, so as we take a look at some of the pictures, again, it didn't look like it was dilapidated. It's not like an abandoned building that's falling apart and somewhere in the ghetto. No, it's nothing like that at all. This, it just doesn't feel right. And you see here the mayor says the building is literally pancaked. Pancaked. And it was pretty full. The condo development was built in 1981 on the beach in the southeast corner of Surfside. Current asking price for a few two-bedroom units was listed at $600,000 to $700,000. So again, it's not cheap.
Right.
Roof work was being done on the building. Interesting. Interesting. Roof work was being done on the building.
So somebody was there doing some stuff on it. We know that for sure. But supposedly just to the roof.
Yeah, let's send our prayers out there for those people that are missing.
Please, yes.
May may as many as possible be found still alive. That would be just so horrifying. And I don't like buildings like that, and that's very similar to where my mom was. But of course, my mom was in Connecticut, not in Florida. But again, she was on the eighth floor, and I never liked visiting. I know I just don't like cities, but yeah, I couldn't live in a building like that. Um, that's just me. But again, this is not earthquake related. This is not a natural quote unquote disaster. What we get from the guides is, that this is, this. I don't know how to.
It's a consequences of some kind.
Yeah, perhaps it's a. Yeah, it's hard to word this in such a way, but it does feel like this is part of something much bigger that's underway, much bigger. And again, there's always consequences when you go against certain forces. And it does feel like that's the case with this. And what do you guys think is going on here? Was this just an accident? How does this happen? Was it faulty construction? Well, there's been an awful lot of strange things going on lately, and this is just another one we've seen. How about the DC Bridge, right? The DC Bridge just happens to collapse. Now we got the same thing with that too, in a way, in that again, that wasn't what we got from our guides was that was IN 10 Shun. Oh, as we try to avoid the AI. And this is again something that doesn't feel. And when you watch this, I'll give you guys all the links. It just kind of comes straight down. Again, it reminds me so much of watching what happened in 2001 up in New York. So there was a deadly water tank explosion, and you got residents' water usage restricted as well. A water tank explosion in the West. This is in Lemoore, California. And the victim was identified as a 41-year-old worker there. And, think about that. We got this massive heat wave going on in the West, unprecedented magnitude and duration. They're talking about record temps up in the Pacific Northwest that are stuff you see more like in the Nevada desert and California desert.
That was really, really rare. I lived in northern Idaho, and to feel something like that would have been insane.
Yeah, all-time records will probably be dropping in Washington, in Oregon. You're talking 111, 118. I mean, these are insane temperatures that we are going to be seeing. So Portland and Seattle both can crack 110 degrees. This is intense. And of course, we have water towers exploding with 1.5 million gallons of water. Yeah, there's just
how does that happen with water anyway?
So many coincidences going on at the same time.
There is. It's just super silly.
It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy what we're seeing. This insane assault on humanity and everything else too. When you think about it, meteorologists like this statement here. There are typically a few rounds of heat in the Pacific Northwest each summer, but this particular heat wave looks quite extreme. Yeah, according to AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson, who regularly analyzes weather patterns in the West. In other words, this doesn't look normal. And now, of course, we have, not only do we have just the climate change people talking about, global warming and stuff, but we have the opposite side of it too. And, both providing data sets that are in opposition to each other constantly. Yet we know there's this artificial component to everything that we're seeing out there. And when you have meteorologists that say, Wow. They don't know what to really say about this.
Mhm.
That kind of tells you something. That really tells you something about what's going on. And the internet has been horrible lately, hasn't it,
Yeah, it
guys?
has. It seems like the more we, I don't know, it's just one of those things that you got to live with. Sometimes when you're going to cover things that are not desirable to certain entities, you deal with other things.
And we're getting to that point. We are getting to that point. We were warned, oh gosh, almost 3 years ago to be able to be on our own with no grid to help us for 6 months. Every citizen should be ready for that, we were told. And then we have the National Guard bringing a simulated cyber attack into play that would bring down utilities nationwide. Cyber Yankee, that's interesting terminology there.
Hmm.
Cyber Yankee exercises simulated the increasingly likely scenario of cyber attacks, crippling huge sections of the nation's infrastructure. And there's such a buzz about August, and I've been feeling something major is coming. You could feel it. Our intuition is increasing exponentially right now, and we were getting a lot of info this morning that we have to sort through as well. There are big things in play, big things underway, and all we could say is, guys, just be prepared as much as possible. And again, for us, the number one thing and number one and 1A, they go hand in hand, is preparing yourself spiritually as well as physically, as well as having, say rice to supply you, rice, beans, lentils, things like that that store, that will keep for quite a while, that could get you through a time period when there might not be anything at the store because maybe there's no power, for months at a time. Maybe there's
Hmm.
no power, no communication. Can you imagine what it's going to feel like going back to the dark ages, so to
Hmm.
speak?
Yeah, and you're go look through your supplies too. Make sure you're uh, rotating things correctly so that when you do need them, they're good and everything's ready to go. It's just time to top everything off and make sure it's all good to go.
Yeah, check dates and check dates on what comes in too,
Yep.
because I have heard cases where people are getting stuff from Amazon, for instance, that's already getting closer to expiration. So just be aware of all those things. It feels like we're at basically we're kind of at a go time where things really are going to an all new level, and it might not be too long before we're not able to communicate freely with each other. It feels like that is pretty much knocking on the door.
Hmm.
So as always, be prepared, guys. Thanks for being part of the family. Thumbs up, support the channel. Please do share. Let's wake up as many people as possible. Let's again send our prayers to everybody in that building collapse in Florida and their families and loved ones. May as many be found safely as possible. And may the plans of the dark side be thwarted as the light continues to expose them for what they are. As always, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon as well. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.